What's going on, you guys? It's Ron here. Hope you guys are doing very well today. This is your daily stimulus package update, your stimulus check update, as well as related stimulus news report and automatic refunds on up to $10,200 of unemployment benefits per person will be issued by the IRS starting this month. That's because the American Rescue Plan, the stimulus package that was signed by President Biden last March, included a provision on this, and we're going to talk about it today. And aside from that, we're also going to find out why House Ways and Means Chair Richard Neal, remember he's a Democrat, remains wary of President Biden's proposal to raise the taxes on the rich as a way to pay for his next infrastructure/stimulus plans. And finally, I know you've all been waiting for some updates on the possibility of a fourth stimulus check. And now we've got some hints regarding that directly from the White House, so make sure you guys stay tuned for that one as well. But of course, before we dive into today's video, make sure you go ahead and hit the subscribe button and tap that notification bell. That way you don't miss out on any future updates and stimulus related news. And also do me a favor, tap the like button, show some support for the channel. It really helps me out. But let's go ahead and jump into the content. All right, so first up, we have tax refunds. Now, if you guys received unemployment benefits last year and filed your 2020 tax return relatively early, the reports are saying that soon you may find either a check in your mailbox or a new direct deposit in your bank account. That's right, we're currently hearing that starting this month and extending throughout the summer, the IRS will begin automatically recalculating tax liabilities and will start paying the first refunds for workers who are eligible for a tax break. Now, if you still don't know, the $1.9 trillion stimulus package that was signed in by President Biden last month, it actually included a stimulus provision in there. Now, that particular stimulus provision would waive federal taxes on up to $10,200 of unemployment benefits per person. And this applies to workers who had filed a tax return before the American Rescue Plan was signed into law. So if you're watching this video and you're among one of those people, then this news is definitely for you. Anyway, this provision also states that married taxpayers filing jointly can exclude up to $20,400 if both received unemployment insurance. So if you received unemployment and you're married, that's up to $20,000. This is crazy. And the exemption would only apply to tax filers who made less than $150,000 per year, or $150,000 last year, I should say. And this applies whether or not they were filing as single or as married. Now, you might be wondering about when should you receive the tax refund? Well, here's what you should know. According to reports, the IRS will issue refunds in 2 phases. I don't know why they always issue things in phases. Why can't they just send everything out at once? Like, for example, the stimulus checks. Why were there multiple phases? Why can't we just blast them all out at one time? I don't know. So anyway, they're going to start the first phase with taxpayers eligible to exclude up to $10,200 of unemployment benefits from their federal taxable income. And so these are the single filers. Now, if you're a single filer, then you are more likely to get your money sooner because you're going to be a part of the first phase of refunds. Now, on the other hand, the second phase would include married couples who filed a joint tax return. Now, I wish it was that simple, but it's actually a little bit more complicated than that. Because how about married couples in which just one spouse received unemployment benefits? In which phase would they fall? Well, right now, that part's not clear. Well, what we do know is that others with more complex tax returns, according to the IRS, could expect their payments to arrive at a later date, probably around the summertime, because they too would be grouped with workers in the second round. Now, as for the method of payment, just like what we mentioned earlier, it's probably going to be through mail or direct deposit. Reports say that taxpayers who selected direct deposits when they were filing their tax returns will get their refunds through that method, while others should keep an eye out in their mailbox for a check. So yeah, I'm pretty excited that this particular provision was added to the current stimulus package. And if I'm not mistaken, this stimulus item was added almost last minute before the package was even passed. And it's a good thing that we're getting developments and hearing about it now. So guys, be sure to share this video on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, wherever, and let your friends and your family know about this good news. Now, keep in mind, you guys, the new tax exemption, again, only applies to unemployment benefits received in 2020. So if you're set to receive unemployment compensation either this year or beyond, expect to pay the full federal tax on the amount that you get. But 2020 was a big mess. I mean, that's a year that I don't think a lot of people are ever going to forget. And most people, or at least I would say a good percentage of my viewers, received or collected unemployment insurance benefits during 2020. So a lot of people are going to be getting checks in the mail and direct deposits. And beyond that, there are also a few cases in which taxpayers would need to file an amended tax return in order to get their full refund. And according to CNBC, that would be the case if the unemployment tax break which reduces one's federal taxable income, makes someone newly eligible for a tax credit or deduction like the Earned Income Tax Credit. Now, that in fact could potentially make taxpayers eligible for a larger overall refund. However, the agency warns that they won't automatically compute that amount, so you would indeed actually have to file an amended tax return. And beyond that, some states that adopted the American Rescue Plan's tax break on benefits would also most likely require taxpayers to file an amended tax return. So you guys may want to review your state tax returns as well. But anyway, that's what we know so far about that. Of course, I'll be sure to keep you guys posted once additional details about this start coming out, but right now, this is pretty much all we have. All right, so moving on, we all know that President Biden, he wants to fund his upcoming infrastructure / stimulus plans through hiking up the taxes for the rich, right?
And here's what the American Family Plan doesn't do. It doesn't add a single penny to our deficit. It's paid for by making sure corporate America and the wealthiest 1% just pay their fair share. I come from the corporate capital of the world. More corporations are incorporated in the state of Delaware than all the rest of the nation combined. And I'm not anti-corporate, but it's about time they start paying their fair share. It's about making a choice. You know, we have out there this year, you have 50 corporations making $40 billion that didn't pay a single penny in taxes, not a single penny. I don't want to punish anybody, but everybody should chip in. Everybody should pay something along the road here. The choice is about who the economy serves. And so I plan on giving tax breaks to the working class folks and making everybody pay their fair share.
And we also know that the majority, if not all Republicans, have been pretty vocal about their opposition to the tax hike proposal.
A neutral wire report explained yesterday that the Biden agenda seeks to fundamentally transform and expand government's roles in the lives of everyday Americans. It's an attempt to continue dragging a divided country farther and faster to the left. This administration wants to jack up taxes in order to nudge families toward the kind of jobs Democrats want them to have, in the kinds of industries Democrats want to exist, with the kinds of cars Democrats want them to drive, using the kinds of child care arrangements that Democrats want them to pursue. These plans aren't about creating options and flexibility for Americans. They're about imposing a vision.
But who would have thought that the person who is set to steer the tax increase through Congress actually has a potentially different opinion on the matter? That's right, despite most Democrats rallying around the cause for sticking the weight of paying for this massive Build Back Better plan to the rich, House Ways and Means Chair Richard Neal, according to reports, remains pretty wary about this. And I quote, "He isn't necessarily opposed to requiring the well-to-do to pay more, but he also isn't convinced that Democrats need to fully pay for their plans with tax increases, especially when super low interest rates mean the government can borrow money cheaply." While neither Neal himself nor his spokesperson responded to the request for comment, sources say that if not resolved, this could actually affect how the upcoming two-part infrastructure / stimulus plan will take shape. Now, other than this, Neal also has his own list of priorities, and this could end up squeezing out some additional items from President Biden's proposed spending. So clearly, this just shows how even among Democrats, a lot of differences still need some hammering out. It also shows that President Biden's initial proposals, be it in the American Jobs Plan or the more stimulus-oriented American Families Plan, are just the starting point in what sources are saying is likely to be months of negotiations. So we'll just see how this story develops over the following weeks, but for now, let's talk about the fourth stimulus check. In a briefing yesterday, when asked about the possibility of another round of stimulus payments, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki seemingly cast doubt about it, basically telling reporters that while it was up to Congress to make the decision, we must also consider that delivering more stimulus checks would be expensive, saying, and I quote, "Those are not free." But of course, regardless of what she said, this would not automatically mean that additional relief payments would ultimately be off of the list of coming up stimulus items. Even though President Biden hasn't yet signified his support on sending out additional relief money through the EIPs to struggling Americans, he also still hasn't stressed his opposition to it. So as far as I'm concerned, there's still a good chance that after all, we could still see a fourth stimulus check, or maybe even recurring stimulus checks this year. Remember that dozens of congressional Democrats, as well as various advocacy groups, have been pressuring President Biden to deliver more help to the American people. And we might not be hearing too much about their push right now, but more than likely they are still pushing for it. Anyway, search interest for fourth stimulus checks remains steadily increasing, meaning that many Americans right now are still waiting for updates on whether it's actually going to be included in the final draft or not. So we'll see if all these things combined will convince President Biden to send out more stimulus checks to the American people. But anyway, that's all we have for this stimulus check update and stimulus package update. And as soon as I get more updates, I'll be sure to share them with you guys. So if you want to stay in the loop with all that's happening with stimulus and related stimulus news, stocks, investing, and crypto, be sure to subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell. And if you made it up to this point, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up, make it turn blue. I really appreciate the likes, you guys. Thanks so much for sticking around, and I will see you guys on the next one. Take care.